What's going on, YouTube, and welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy Kevin Forte, and today we're going to be taking a look at the New York Islanders. And here we are. It's like deja vu all over again for the New York Islanders, as the Islanders find themselves through the first 6 games of their regular season this year. 2-2-2 is the team's record. And if you look at that record, you'd actually feel pretty good about yourself, except for the fact that the way the Islanders have lost most of their games, and even some of the ways they've won some of their games. You know, their most recent victory that they had last week against the Montreal Canadiens was not an inspiring one. It's a game that they had to grind out in overtime after giving up a late goal. It's just been that type of season again for the Islanders, and the continuation of giving up goals late in periods, giving up leads that are late in the third period. We saw that already in the season opener. This is a very frustrating Islanders team to watch, and it's one that has been, unfortunately for most Islanders fans, way too normal. Something that we have become accustomed to seeing with Islanders hockey. So today we're going to look at the Islanders, why they're struggling, what they can do to get better. But to be honest with you, we've talked about this every single year in the Lou Lamoriello era with the New York Islanders. The only difference was in the first 2 years, at least they were winning that way. They were going to the Stanley Cup, going to the conference finals against Tampa Bay Lightning, and were 1 goal away. And even then, in those 1-0 losses, you could make comparisons kind of these types of games like they had against the Red Wings where they lose 1-0. So we're going to take a look here today. So we're going to go right away. We're going to look at Hockey Reference, and I'm going to show you guys just what we're looking at with the Islanders. And that is not what I wanted to show you. Apologies for that, guys. We'll fix it here in a second. So here we go. So the Islanders, the New York Islanders roster and schedule. I apologize for having it so zoomed in. This is not what I like to do here on the channel, so I apologize for having it a little bit blown up. So there we go. Apologies for that, guys. All right, so 2-2-2 is the team's record, okay? Not too surprising. This is a team that likes to lose in overtime and in shootouts. We've seen that. We've seen them lose in regulation, and we've seen them pick up a couple of wins to give you some kind of hope. Goals for this season. Only 14 goals scored for the New York Islanders. So there are 27 teams in the National Hockey League that have scored more goals than the New York Islanders have through 6 games this season. Sound familiar? And their goals against. They've given up 15 goals this season, which is the 6th best in the National Hockey League. Now, during the Barry Trotz era of the Islanders were always first or second, or at worst, on a bad week, third in that department. Goals against, yeah, it's good. It's top 10 in the league, but you're compensating a lot because of just how weak the scoring output is for the Islanders once again. This team continues to struggle to score goals. I know Anthony Duclair is out injured, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But the reality is, this is not that different of a team than what we've seen from the Islanders for years now. You go back to when John Tavares was with the New York Islanders, when John Tavares' era was occurring for the Islanders. What was the biggest criticism of the Islanders at that point? The Islanders had a franchise center down the middle, but they didn't have anybody to play alongside that superstar talent on the wing. And here in 2024, going into 2025, a decade later, we are still talking about how the Islanders do not have a sniper in the lineup. And yes, Siplikov has looked good. Palmieri's pretty good. And yes, even your newest addition over the offseason, Anthony Duclair, well, he's not in the lineup. So, where is the scoring production coming from this Islanders team? You need to see more scoring, more offensive opportunities. And it's not And the Islanders had, 29 shots against Alex Line the other night. But the problem is you're not getting enough rebounds. You're not getting enough screens on the goalie. They're having too easy of a time doing their job. Now, the goalie's doing his job. The Islanders have to do their job and give him different things to look at. It just seems too routine, like he's in a practice or in a warm-up making those saves because it's just routine. It's easy. There's no sense of that. There's no threat of that guy in front of the net that's going to take the puck away, or the guy that's going to tip it in, or create that screen. None of that was there for the Islanders. And I happened to be watching the Rangers-Habs game last night. Really good example of that. There was a play where the Habs had scored their first goal of the game, and Nick Suzuki just happened to be coming down the ice at the perfect timing where the guy who was behind the net happened to be coming out from the corner, passed it right to Suzuki, and boom, right through Shesterkin's legs. Not only is that the skill to execute that play, but it's the players constantly coming down that center of the ice right into the slot at the perfect time where they are getting those opportunities. The Islanders don't do that. And if there is an Islander that happens to be going down into the slot like that, they're never able to execute unless their name might be Barzal or Horvat. Or the newest addition, maybe Seplikov, right? Or Duclair when he's in the lineup. You need more guys that can do that. Because teams are going to key in on Horvat and Barzal. And their game plan is going to be, we're going to shut down Horvat and Barzal. And if this team's going to beat us, somebody else is going to have to beat us and not Horvat or Barzal. And the Islanders do not have anybody that can do that right now. So everybody's giving a hard time to Barzal and Horvat. Understandable because they got to find their way around it. But the reality is their assignment is to key in on those two. And anybody else, they're not much of a threat, especially offensively. And then you look at the goal that they did give up, and this is nitpicking, but Anders Lee did not look good on that play. I mean, the Islanders got caught puck watching. It happens. But it was a bad play, and Patrick Kane was wide open, and the epitomal example of what I'm talking about. Another play where he's kind of coasting into the slot, right place, right time. Somebody happens to get the pass to him, and he executes and gets the goal. And that ends up being the only goal of the game for the Red Wings, but it doesn't matter. That was the first shot of the game the Red Wings had, and it was with 7 minutes left in the first period. The first 13 minutes, they didn't get a shot on goal. But at the end of the day, the standings don't care how many shots you got on net. Shit, you could get one shot on that the whole game, and if that goes in and the other team gets 50 shots, but none of them go in, it doesn't matter. That was the type of game we saw from the Islanders last night. And I think what's so frustrating for Islanders fans is not only are they losing these games, and we've seen these games before every season from the Islanders for the last couple of years, but it's the lack of any sense of urgency. It just doesn't seem like there's any urgency, there's any sort of energy coming from this team. And I think that's the most frustrating thing with the Islanders right now, on top of everything else that's gone wrong so far. I wish I could say that it's 6 games into the season and you shouldn't be getting upset, and it's a long season and there's a lot of things that can go their way. That very well could happen. But the fact we've been talking about these issues with the Islanders for years. Yeah, you know what? Nashville's 0-6 or whatever to start their season. Yeah, that's not good. But they also have rebuilt that entire roster and made a ton of changes to try to get better. The problem is with the Islanders, the only real difference between this year's team and last year's team, Liam Foodie's in the lineup, Pierre Engvall's in Bridgeport. What's his name? Julien Gauthier clears waivers to Bridgeport. And they add in Duclair and Seplikov. That's it. This is the same team that we saw last year. So what makes you think that the changes and the lapses and mistakes from certain players and the lack of speed and the lack of scoring, what kind of thing do I have to look at to say that is the thing that's still fixing itself into place? That's not the case. This team has been stone since Lamoriello came in. And we're seeing the results of that right now. So let me know what you guys think in the comments section down below. Do you guys think the Islanders can turn this thing around? And honestly, I don't think so. Because this is the same Islanders team we've seen year after year after year after year. And like I said, the Islanders used to get away with it. It used to be a running joke that the Islanders don't score goals. Because you know what? They won games. They were pretty much winning the division those years. Going to the Stanley Cup Final Four in the Eastern Conference Finals against Tampa. So it was easy to overlook the deficiencies the Islanders had then. That's no longer the case. Adam Pelech and Ryan Pulock are not what they were in that era. Noah Dobson really hasn't transpired into the player that we hoped he would be. Devon Toews is doing great things in Colorado with the Avalanche. The Islanders let him go for 2 second-round picks. The reality is, and I've said this now really for the last 2 years since they've lost Devon Toews, this is a team that at best makes the playoffs and loses in the first or second round, if they even get to the second round, which would be a miracle. It's a team that's likely fighting it out for a wild card spot in the final month of the season in April, and if they're lucky and things go their way, they make the playoffs. If things don't go their way, they miss the playoffs this year, really have to wonder what the Islanders are going to look like, because this team cannot continue what they've been doing. And it's so frustrating because like I said, if they found new ways to lose, I would almost be okay with that. It's that this is the exact same ways they've been losing. It is the prototypical template game, the way the Islanders have been playing the last few years. And it has to stop somewhere. But the question is where? Who goes out? Who's going to be accountable? We're going to have to wait to find out. At 6 games into the year, the Islanders have a lot of hockey left to play. 76 games to figure this out. So I'm not going to sit here and say it's the end. But I'm definitely not inspired from what I've seen from the Islanders so far this year. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. If you like this video, want to see more content like it, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys again next time.